Hello YouTube, I'm Nye from Finale Guitar in Sheffield and you're watching Folk Friend, your one-stop shop for Celtic backing guitar tutorials. In today's video I'm going to be following up the first part of my video last week about tetrads, and I'm going to be showing you some practical examples of how you can start using these nice jazzy 7 chords in your Irish and Celtic, Scottish, etc. backing guitar. I'm also going to be showing you then how you can take the things that we learned about how to use them in major keys, the ionian mode, and apply that to the other modes that are used in folk music, Dorian, mixolydian and aeolian. So the first thing that I talked about was how you can start using 7 chords in a major key, and we covered that there are 7 chords available in a major key, 6 that people actually use because the 7th chord is diminished and sounds a bit horrible. So just to recap that quickly, chords 1 and 4 are going to be major 7 chords, chords 2, 3 and 6 are going to become minor 7 chords, and chord 5 is going to become a dominant 7 chord. Bear in mind that you can always avoid chord 7 in any major key by playing chord 5 in the first inversion, and that is what folk guitarists almost always do to avoid playing diminished chords which sound horrible. Now what I want to do first thing in this video is use one of my play along videos to show you a practical example of how you can go away straight away and start implementing that. So we're going to take our Maid Behind the Bar, which is one of the first free play along videos that I released, and I've got really good news about these, which is that the brand new folkfriend.co.uk website is going to be out next week, so check the card in the corner of the screen if you're watching a week after this was released. There'll be a link to the Folk Friend website, it's linked in the box down below as well. If you're an early bird, then sign up to the mailing list and you'll get a notification when that's out, because there will be 21 play-alongs on that website available for you to watch on there, and they come with full explanations of all the chords and diagrams of all the shapes as well. But yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play along with Maid Behind the Bar. It's a tune in the key of D major, D ionian, so our chord options are D major 7, E minor 7, F sharp minor 7, G major 7, A7, B minor 7, and in place of chord 7 I'm going to use a substitute for that, which is just chord 5 in the first inversion. So instead of playing chord 7, which would be C sharp diminished, I'm going to play chord 5, which is A inverted, so that it's got a C sharp at the bottom of it, and I'm going to do that using this shape here, which is like a little mini bar with my index finger and my ring finger on the 4th fret. So I'm just going to play along with the tune. I'm playing along with the slow version so that you can see what I'm doing, and I'm playing along with the substitutions version of the chords, which kick in on the 3rd round through the tune. This tune is linked in the corner of the screen right now, so you can practice this as well at home. This is D major 7, down to G major 7, A7, the related minors. So in this one I'm going to go up to E minor 7, down to A7, here comes my E minor 7 again. So you can see there, I'm just replacing the chords shown on screen with the tetrad versions of them, and it just makes the whole thing sound jazzy and nice. You may have noticed I actually threw in a D7 at one point there, and this is a really useful trick which I've stolen from early jazz and swing, and those kind of genres kind of popularised this technique. If you have got any chord which is followed by another chord whose root is down a 5th from it, so in this case we had a big block of D major followed by a G major chord. D down to G, if you count backwards through the alphabet, D, C, B, A, G, that is down a fifth. So what I'm going to do is, when I'm about to change from D down to G, I'm going to take I was on a D major 7 chord, and I'm going to convert it into a D7 chord, a dominant, because dominant 7 chords have this peculiar feature where they're kind of unstable and they want to resolve down a fifth. And so if you are about to resolve down a fifth, convert whatever chord you're playing into a dominant just for the last little bit of it, and it'll want to go into the next chord, and that'll always sound really cool. This works in any context where you're about to resolve down a fifth. The place you would normally use it is for chord 5 going back to chord 1, as we did in this tune with A7 going back to D. That's our chord 5 A going back to our chord 1 D. But you can do it any time with any chord that's about to resolve down a fifth, and that also includes minor chords. So if you've got like a tune in D minor and you're going from A minor back to D, you can actually convert the A minor briefly into an A7 chord, and then it'll really want to go back to D minor, and it sounds really, really cool. So that's a useful little technique for you to play about with. The next thing I want to do is take this formula and show you how you can apply it to modes other than the Ionian mode or the major scale. So the next example I'm going to show you is using the butterfly slip jig, which is another one of my free play-alongs you can go and have a look at in the corner of the screen right now. This is a tune in E aeolian. Aeolian is the darker of the two minor modes used in Celtic music. It's also less common than Dorian, which you find more, that's the more optimistic one. Now E aeolian, if I turn my mode wheel round here so that we've got the notes of E aeolian being displayed. There we go. If you look at E aeolian here, you can see it's the same notes as would be in G ionian or G major. And because it's got the same notes in its scale as G major, that also means it's got the same chords available. The difference is that an E aeolian tune will very likely start on E, it will definitely finish on E, and it will have lots more long E notes in the melody on dominant beats, and because of that your ear will interpret the rest of the melody notes in relation to E, and it'll go, oh, these sound like sad notes related to E rather than happy notes related to G. Because you've got the same notes, you've got the same chords, and that means that we can look at the ones that would have been available in G ionian. We had G major 7 as our chord 1, C major 7 as our chord 4, we would have had D dominant 7 as our chord 5, and then the minor chords would have been E minor 7, A minor 7 and B minor 7, and then there would have been one other option, which is the diminished chord, F sharp diminished. We would have replaced that with D in the first inversion, because you can always replace a diminished chord with the first inversion of the chord which is 2 below it in the key scale, and you always do that in Irish music because diminished chords sound horrible. So that's our complete list of options that would have been available in G ionian, and we've got the exact same list of options if we're in E aeolian. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take that list of tetrads and I'm going to apply them to the version of the tune play along which plays through the third round on the slow speed, where there's some basic substitutions in there but they're still fairly simple, and I'm just going to convert all of the chords into the equivalent tetrad. Here's my B minor, C major 7, D7, E minor 7, D7, E minor 7 and B minor 7, E minor 7, B minor, C major 7, D7. So C major 7 and D7, C major 7, C major 7 and B minor, C major 7, D7. G major 7, A minor 7, So you get the idea. I'm just taking the tetrad options from the related major key, and then I'm using those to fit with a tune in one of its modes. I'd like to show you one more example, and this is going to be illustrative of something really, really important, a caveat which applies to the mixolydian and Dorian modes. And I've actually come up with a little rhyme just a minute ago to help you remember this caveat. There is a caveat. The caveat is that if you're not in the Ionian mode, the seventh is flat. So what I mean by that rhyme is that there are two dominant 7 chords in the mixolydian mode and the Dorian mode. So if we look at, let's look at D mixolydian as an example. D mixolydian has the same chords available in it as G major would, because G ionian is related to D mixolydian. That means that D mixolydian is the 5th mode, and it starts therefore on what would have been chord 5 in G major. So the first chord in tetrad land in the mixolydian mode is going to be a dominant 7th chord. You start on your dominant 7 chord. The 7th chord would normally be a C major 7, but the 7 chord is going to often want to resolve back to chord 1. And if you play a C major 7 as your 7 chord, a major 7 chord is very stable, whereas a dominant 7 chord is very unstable. And you want to resolve from the 7 chord back to the 1 chord, so you're going to play a dominant 7 chord instead of the major 7 chord. So you're always going to make the 7th chord a dominant 7 if you're in the mixolydian mode, as well as the first chord being a dominant 7 in the mixolydian mode. Now let's move on to the Dorian, because our last example today is going to be in the key of D Dorian, and the same caveat applies to the Dorian. So if you're in D Dorian, that has the same notes available in it as C ionian or C major, therefore the same tetrads, with the exception that the 7th tetrad, which would normally be C major 7, is now going to be C dominant 7. So in the key of D Dorian, our complete list of available tetrads is D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, G 7, G dominant 7, A minor 7, B diminished, we're going to avoid that by playing G in the first inversion, and then C is going to become C dominant 7 as well, because that's our 7th chord. And that's what I mean by the 7th's 7th is flat, because the 7th note in the 7th chord is a flattened 7th, not a major 7. So bearing in mind that very important caveat, this is my last example today. I'm going to be running you through a brand new play along from me. This is Fahy's Reel, a tune I absolutely love. This is coming out in the brand new pack of 21 play-alongs from Folk Friend. You may be asking yourself, why has he made 21 and not a nice round 20? Well, the truth is that I miscounted when I started making them, and so you've ended up with a free bonus one, because I'm just kind and generous like that. They're all going to be available on folkfriend.co.uk. Website's coming out next weekend. Check the link in the card for more info on that. So I'm just going to play along with the tune. I'm going to use each of my chords converted to the right kind of tetrad, and hopefully you will get a feel for what that sounds like. So that's it for this video. The rule is then that by working out the related major key for a tune in any mode, you can quickly and easily find the right tetrads to use. Just bear in mind that if you're in any mode other than the Ionian, then chord 7 needs to be a dominant 7 chord, as well as whichever chord is already the dominant 7 chord for that mode. I hope you've enjoyed this video then. If you have, please hit the little like button just down there. It really helps me out, helps the channel get shown to more people. If you would like to get all my videos straight to your inbox, there's a little subscribe button just down there. There's a little bell next to it as well. Hit both of those and you will be notified when I post new ones. There's a new video out every Saturday at 12:30 UK time. There's also Folky Fridays every Friday evening at 5:30, which is a free live stream Celtic guitar lesson every week. So join us for that if you're in the UK or a time zone where you can be in sync with us over here. It'd be very nice to see you on there. Also check out the Folk Friend Facebook and the brand new website folkfriend.co.uk, and I will see you all for lots more videos very, very soon.